I've worked retail. A lot of retail. In fact, my first job ever was at the ripe age of 18 at Toys R Us on Black Friday. Now, before you start feeling bad for me, know that I did this to myself. And I'll never forget sitting in the back room in my St. Brendan uniform, just waiting to be called in for my very first interview. I remember the manager looking me right in the eyeballs and asking me, "Are you sure you want to work retail during the holidays at a toy store?" Clearly, this manager was trying to send me indirect warning signals, but my naive, dumbass self just smiled back at him and said some shit like, "Oh, well, because it's Christmas and we're at a toy store and toys bring children happiness and it puts me in the Christmas spirit." It was moments after that, my friends, that my soul died. I'll never forget that day. I was thrust upon the sales floor. Zero training or experience. Customers pulling me left and right like a rag doll, which was fitting because toy store.
Niña,
Excuse me. I was in aisle 5 and I couldn't find the bread stalls.
oye niña, flaca, ven acá. Oye, flaca.
I need to find the bread stalls. My children, they want the breads. Can I have the bread stalls, please? I really want the bread stalls. Might I add that I also thought it was a bright idea to wear a brand new pair of Chucks for that evening's shift. Needless to say, by the end of that night, which was actually morning, because it was like 3 a.m., some of us were delirious and laughing at I don't know what, possibly a booba doll on repeat. And if you don't know what a booba is, I'd tell you to Google it, but it might give you nightmares. Needless to say, by the end of the night, the back of my heels were bleeding, super acute, and I suffered in silence as I hobbled from aisle to aisle, putting back all of the junk that people left lying around. Now, just because Black Friday was over doesn't mean that the rest of the holiday season was a piece of caca fruitcake, because it wasn't. And from about age 18, age 26, scattered about, I did endure some pretty hardcore Black Fridays, 2 or 3 of which were spent at Bath & Body Works, and I did also survive back to school season at Office Depot. And let me just say this. If you are on the customer side of things this Black Friday and holiday shopping season, don't be a pendejo, which means solitary pubic hair in English. Rule number 1, be polite, carajo. You would think this is common sense advice, pero no. While I did have the pleasure of assisting some true, kind-hearted folks during the holiday season, I also had the displeasure of working with some absolute Come Mierda 5000s. Yes, that was the latest edition of Come Mierda in 2004. I've worked many a sales floor and behind the register, and there are some people that are just so damn rude that it took everything in my being to not rip off my uniforms and stab them with un lightsaber. Pero the customer's always right. And hey, I've been a customer too, I get it, but it's all about treating each other fairly. Fuck. Retail associates are here to assist you. We want to help you pick the best candle for your tia Pepita who hates everything. We want to help you pick out the best action figure for your nephew. But you have to keep in mind that these retail associates are more than likely very tired, stressed, overworked, and probably haven't slept in a couple days. Some even work on the holiday itself, all to gain that one extra paycheck. La cosa no es fácil, bro. So just please remember to be kind and empathetic towards everyone you encounter, and even your fellow shoppers. Rule number 2, pick up after yourself. Lord knows how many hours are spent putting back yo shit. And speaking of shit, parents would allow children to take little cacas on our Toys R Us carpet. And after closing hours, we would discover it. Why didn't you clean after your kid's caca? This isn't a dog park. And by the way, even at a dog park, you're supposed to clean your dog's caca. And I get it. Some of you are way too tired. Los pobre, you're at the very front by the register, and all of a sudden you're like, I don't really care for this yo-yo. So you don't want to walk all the way to the back, aisle 17, to put away the yo-yo. Fine. We've all been guilty of little things like that, but oh, no one's gonna notice, and then you just hide it. I get it, I do. But there have been some people who have dropped cartloads of mierda right underneath the price scanners. What? Number 3, the store is not your child's amusement park. Just take them anywhere, Chuck E. Cheese, I don't know.
Santa's enchanted forest.
Especially from a toy retail store, believe it or not, parents would treat the place like a McDonald's playground. The ones that smell like chicken nuggets and wet socks. They would just sit back while their kids would pull out the bicycles and the Power Wheels. They would crash repeatedly into the game wall. Disaster. So please, for the love of God, look after your children. And if you really want them to have some fun, take them to a fucking park. Rule number 4, read. The reading rainbow. It really saves a lot of time. A lot of customers would approach me with like a box, like with a creepy doll inside, and they're like, oh, like, what does she do? And these people speak English, by the way. So no excuses here in terms of language barriers. They speak and read English. What's the age range for this doll? I always felt like an idiot because I'd grab the box, I'd just flip it around, and I'd be like, ages 3 and up. I get it, we want things right then and there, we want our answers right then and there. Blame high-speed internet. But for those of us who endured the I'm not gonna, oh God, I'm choking on my own saliva. I'm not gonna do the whole symphony of what it sounded like to log on to dial-up internet.
You've got mail.
I think that helped us gain patience. So remember those days, folks. Remember those days well. So yes, everybody, I thought, again, I would shed some light from a retail associate's perspective. And yes, this also applies to those who serve at restaurants. That's a whole other ball game. I myself have never worked in the food industry, but I have a lot of friends who have, and mad respect. I just want to see respect all around. This country's going cray at the moment, and I'm honestly a little worried about the tensions that we're going to see across America and shopping malls especially. I feel like that's going to be a special kind of battleground more than ever this year. I mean, thankfully there are no Tickle Me Elmo phenomenons, but there's always Cyber Monday. Honestly, I do a lot of my Christmas shopping on my ass at home. I have found some of the cutest gifts for my friends via mom and pop and small businesses, and I'll probably list out some of my favorite online stores in the description below. Amazon, I mean, in and of itself is a beautiful thing. So I hope you guys enjoy your Thanksgiving dinners with your friends and family. I, for one, celebrate Thanksgiving, believe it or not, in a very Americanized fashion. That's how I was raised. We eat the turkey, we eat the stuffing, we eat the mashed potatoes. And then for Noche Buena, of course, it's all out, 100% Cuban. But I do know a lot of Hispanics who mix it up, and they'll have their puerco with their stuffing and tostones with their cranberry. I actually learned how to make a plátano-based stuffing, and it was actually pretty good. And speaking of thanks, I am very grateful for all of you guys. I love you.